All right. So this is our very first lesson of our argumentative writing unit. Okay. As we discussed last week, we are going to be doing 2 argumentative pieces of writing. And this first one is about violent games. Okay. And yesterday you guys read an article called The Hijinks Shootout, and it was about essentially a killer squirt gun fight, right? And this article, though it's going to give us good evidence, this is not our main goal. Our main goal is we are going to look at the impact of simulated violence. Okay, and simulated violence is essentially fake violence. And how does fake violence influence us? Whether that be a fake violent video game, a fake violent squirt gun game, a fake violent pinball game, how do these high stakes, violent, simulated violent games impact us? And then the other question is, what is the difference between seeing simulated violence or fake violence versus actually seeing real violence? Okay. So the teaching point, or the goal for the day, is we're going to be able to look at a piece of text, which for today it's Hijinks Shootout, and it's complex because you read it and it's more entertaining, right? It's just kind of a fun story and you're kind of in it and you enjoy it. But you can look at it and there's like a hidden ethical dilemma, a hidden problem that we need to figure out. Okay, where do I stand with this problem? And that is where the argument piece comes into play. Okay, you guys are teenagers. I don't know if you know this. You like to argue. Okay, and so today you are going to get your chance to do some arguing. Okay, a reminder yet again, this article is not what we are debating. We are not debating if this killer game is bad or good. We are talking about simulated violence. Okay? Now, to use this as our evidence, because here in a second, what we're going to do is I am going to tell you what partner you are. So I'm going to tell you what you are going to argue. It's not your opinion yet. You don't get to choose yet. You are going to have to argue a point. Okay? And what's going to happen during that arguing, you are going to be able to use hijinks as your evidence, not as your reasons, but as your evidence. Okay? Okay, so the difference between evidence and a reason, your reason is more broad. It is what you think, right? And then your evidence supports your reason. Okay? So, before we get into this, we are going to gather evidence to support our reasons. Our evidence is going to come from Hijinks Shootout. Before we get into this, let's recap what is Hijinks Shootout about. Okay, so Hijinks Shootout, super intense water gun fight, okay? Over 2 weeks long, and essentially you have to, quote unquote, kill someone by getting them with a water gun, okay? And it turns pretty intense because people have to hide out, and there's a lot of things that they do, right? So here's what's going to happen. We are going to come around and we are going to assign you. You are either going to be partner 1 or partner 2. And you and one partner are going to be having conversations, okay? And you are going to listen to me read. I'm only going to read the first 3 paragraphs. And after we give you what partner you are, you're going to listen to the reading and you're going to try to find evidence to support whichever side you are, okay? And then you'll have a chance to debate with this person. So we're going to come around here in a second and give you a partner. Okay, so partner 1, let me say this one more time. Partner 1, you are listening for teens should be allowed to play violent role-playing games. Partner 2, you are listening for teens should not be allowed to play violent role-playing games. Okay, so here we go. Hijinks Shootout, first 3 paragraphs. Inside the world of a killer high school assassination game. Killer, the last man standing game of a water pistol ambush, has become a key end-of-the-year ritual in several New York City high schools. At St. Anne's, a private school in Brooklyn Heights, the game lasts 2.5 weeks and is especially ferocious. Over the years, students there have developed a 17-point rule book, a map of the safe zones around the school, an entry fee, currently $20 per team, it goes into the winner's pot, and a non-playing senior class judge to arbitrate disputed kills and rule violations. The judge also makes a pie chart of death, the order of killing assignments, which he or she then distributes to the squads shortly before opening day. I'm looking for some good massacres early, this year's judge said as the competition began. The second week in May, summoning what his classmates refer to as his inner lawyer, he asked that his name not be used. I've arranged at least one boyfriend-girlfriend kill that could be interesting. Initially, each team of up to four students is given only the identities of its immediate prey. All other players are anonymous, so that in the days leading up to the game, the school becomes a soak of intelligence gathering and disinformation. In 2007, Jake Protel, a freshman, distinguished himself by ferreting out the itinerary of a field trip that two targets were taking to Tel Aviv. Protel took a car to Newark Airport, found the victims before they passed through security, and dispatched them using 2 bathtub squirt fish. And he says, I had to get special permission from the judge for the squirt fish because I didn't want to take my gun anywhere near an LL counter, meaning he didn't want to take his gun anywhere near the airport. Now a junior recalled as he paced Pierpont Street, 3 water guns shoved inside the pocket of a hoodie. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second. Go back, check your notes as yourself. I'll give you about 30 seconds to a minute. What are you going to say to your partner to try to prove your point? Okay, go. Take a second, go back and look. Okay, so after we had our debate, we decided we're looking at partner 1. We're talking about things that they said. So the first thing that somebody said for teens should be allowed to play violent role-playing games. It helps teens learn to strategize and problem solve. Okay, another person just said that it's good, or teens should play these games because it gives us a chance to have some teamwork, and we work as a team, and we create, some bonding relationships with other kiddos. Okay, and then finally, a couple other things that we talked about in the other class. Games like this help people de-stress. They played this at the end of the school year, and it give them a chance to de-stress and kind of come together and have some fun, right? And also Block 1 mentioned that it helps them with work ethic because you kind of spend all this time working together and you're working towards something. So it helps with work ethic. Okay, so now partner 2, let me hear, what are some things that you guys talked about that teens should not be allowed to play these games? Okay, so somebody said that for partner 2, that they shouldn't play role-playing games. It's too intense. It maybe makes you lose sleep. You're too focused on something and it's just too intense in your noggin. All right, what else did we hear? All right, so we had a kiddo make a really good point. It's dangerous, right? Thinking like this is dangerous. You never know what kind of law is going to get involved. And even more specifically, when you look at, he had to get special permission from the airport or from the judge to take a fish into the airport, not a squirt gun, okay? Because if it gets too intense, it could be dangerous, okay? So here's what's going to happen now. We are going to take a second and we are going to look at some new words because at this point, they should be allowed or they shouldn't be allowed. We can make a stronger claim. So we're going to kind of academic it up a little bit, make it a little bit fancier, okay? Because when you write with better word choice, just like this article was written with better word choice, when you write with better word choice, it gets more intense and you are able to prove your point, okay? Just like if you are in an actual debate, you can hear more strong words, allows you to kind of seem more like you know what you're talking about, okay? So the 2 words that we're going to talk about are perilous and diverting, okay? So in a second, you guys are going to have the same partners. Partner 1 is going to now say, role-playing games with simulated violence are perilous. And the word perilous means dangerous and risky, okay? So I'm going to write that on the board. Perilous means dangerous and risky. And then the second partner, role-playing games, not necessarily video games, just role-playing games with simulated violence are diverting. And diverting means that it's entertaining and amusing, okay? So now that we have these new words, okay, and a stronger vocabulary, we're going to finish reading the article, okay? And as we finish reading the article, what I want you to do is continue to take notes. If you notice, partner 1 switched sides and partner 2 switched sides. So partner 1 is going to say that they're dangerous and risky, that they're perilous. And partner 2 is going to say that these games are entertaining and amusing. Okay, so it's giving you a chance to look deeply at it from both sides. Okay, so as you listen to me finish reading the article, take notes, highlight, underline things that are going to help you. Remember, your reasons are more broad, and then you can back it up with more specifics from the article. Okay, so here we go. 18 squads of assassins signed up for Killer in 2009. A total of 70 players, creating a pot of $360. That sounds fun. The first week kicked off with the upperclassmen's swift massacre of the less disciplined freshman teams. There were a couple of tenacious ninth grade holdouts, though. Willis Cohen, age 15, just 5 feet 6 and 130 pounds, was gumming up the works for a team of seniors assigned to kill him. Since the start of the game, the 12th graders had been sleeping on futons in a couple of vans borrowed from their parents, the better to pull off a stoop-side ambush and avoid being ambushed themselves. They had to take Cohen out before they could move on to their next victim. As I'm reading that, I'm thinking that might not be a good strategy. Might be losing some sleep there. Okay, at 10:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, 3 of the 4 seniors, armed with Walgreens issue water pistols, staked out the Cohen's house in a blue Toyota minivan. The idea was to use a cell phone to call the Cohen's landline, posing as Cohen's teammate, Dominic, using Dominic's caller ID. The call had been engineered from a remote computer by a squad member with prodigious hacking skills. Probably not the greatest skill. Perhaps it's a dangerous skill. Okay, moving on. We want to get Cohen out on the stoop or learn whether he's sleeping at home, Tuck Gaisford, the senior's driver, said. The call went through, but Cohen's mom, who had earlier driven her son and a teammate to kill in Soho, had been tipped off. The brownstone remained dark, and the seniors spent the night on a cul-de-sac in the Heights. Meanwhile, Jake Portell and his squad, Polly Lowther and Charlotte Istel and Mark C., mowed through the entire teams, racking up 13 kills in 4 days. In 5 hours on Memorial Day, Lowther, a member of the winning teams from 2007 and 2008, shot a boy sitting on his stoop in Borum Hill, a second as he ventured from his country house to Cobble Hill, and a third whom he duped into coming to a party in the village. Willis Cohen was finally killed through no fault of his own. He woke up and, as usual, hopped a neighbor's fence and exited through a neighbor's house. He caught a livery cab on Amity Street and headed north to the Heights. He knew he was in trouble when his driver refused to raise the windows. A member of the Gaisford team shot him in the chest through the cab's passenger window as he pulled up to the school. I told the driver to pull over on the other side of the street, but he wouldn't do it, Cohen said, the wet splotch drying on the center of his t-shirt. In the end, the Portell Lowther team won with 21 kills. They celebrated with a spaghetti dinner. In the late innings of Killer season, some kids occasionally sleep in the deeper recesses of St. Anne's itself. The game's valedictory message is built into its architecture. School is the safe ground. And, keen as the graduating seniors may be to leave, the game tells them that the world outside is not. It's kind of a good quote there. All right, so take a second. Partner 1, you are going to talk about or look for ways to prove that simulated violence games are dangerous and risky. Partner 2 are going to look for ways to prove that they are just entertaining and amusing. All right? On your own. Go ahead and look for what you can use to reason. All right. So partner 1, they were talking about how it's dangerous, perilous for kids, right? Any violent games can be dangerous for kids. Some examples of that or some reasons of that was it can be distracting. And some evidence to support the fact that they could be distracting is they were doing it with the taxi cab, and they could have hit the taxi driver, and the taxi driver could have gotten into a car crash. So it could definitely be dangerous and distracting, okay? What are some other reasons why they are dangerous or perilous for kids? Another thing mentioned is you're spending a lot of money to be involved, whether it be a tournament or the video game or however it is, but you're spending a lot of money and then you can get addicted and it kind of takes over your life, right? All right, what are some other things? It can also affect our sleep, and which can really affect grades and schoolwork and work and things like that. So if it's affecting your sleep, it could affect the rest of your life, right? Could also start some bad habits, right? So for example, the habits that this one started, they were hacking into cell phones and computers. Not the greatest plan, right? All right, what other things? I saw a couple more hands. All right, switching gears. Partner 2, they're trying to argue that they're not violent, they're not dangerous, that simulated violent games are just fun and entertaining. Okay, so what are some things that you came up with to support that they are just fun and entertaining? Okay, so these games can be good because they allow you to explore new places. So specifically with this game, you are exploring New York City, but at digital, video games, you are exploring other places like wherever the video game takes place, like Rome. Another thing that I heard from another kiddo was that it was good because it brought kids together, whether it be bonding over a video game that you guys like, or bonding as a team, or celebrating with a spaghetti dinner. It brings people together and allows you to make more friends, right? All right, is there anything else that partner 2 wanted to share about? No, it's just fun and entertaining. All right, and it helps you build up skills. Whatever skills it might be, it allows you to get good at something and build up your skills that maybe you could use later in life, okay? Whether it be creating a strategy or creating a plan, it's going to help you with skills that you might need as you get older, okay? Okay, so your goal now, we are going to come around and give you an outline. Your goal now, and you're going to have a little bit around 25 minutes to do this. We are going to give you an outline, and you are going to pick what you believe. So you either believe that simulated violent games, not just the killer water gun game, it's simulated violent games. You are either going to argue your specific opinion. You are either going to argue that they are dangerous and risky, or that they are simply entertaining and amusing, okay? And here is what the outline looks like. What you're going to do, you are going to say your claim, okay? And that is whichever one that you chose. Violent or simulated violent games are dangerous, or simulated violent games are entertaining. And you can use the word perilous. You can find a different word, but remember, we want to use that strong vocabulary. Then you're going to give your reason 1. Your reason is not specific to the game killer, not specific to the water gun. Your reason is just general about violent games. Your why is your evidence. Your why is what supports it, okay? Same thing with reason 2. Your reason 2 is, again, more general about violent games, if you're saying they're good, does it help you learn strategies? Does it help you de-stress? Does it help you build relationships? Okay. And then your why is your specific evidence from the article. Now, we talked about this last week. Your counterclaim, when you are writing an argumentative piece, your counterclaim is what other people are going to say, is other people's response, okay? So maybe you're saying they're fun, other people are going to say they're dangerous, okay? So that's your counterclaim, but then you're going to prove them wrong. That is where the rebuttal comes into play, okay? And then finally, for the conclusion on your outline, what I would do is kind of practice writing that mic drop, so what do we need to do about it, okay? All right, so I'm going to put this back up here, and then we're going to come around and check in with you while you are working on your outline, okay?